Hello, welcome and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this webinar about the IOF and Smart AgriHub's Innovation Portal. We hope you are all well and safe and that you are comfortably sitting at home. I would like to give you a short introduction of what we are going to discuss and see today. So, as you know, because you are here, this webinar will be about the use of the Smart AgriHub's Innovation Portal. Why should you be registered? Why should you be using this portal? This is a practical presentation. It means that we don't want to walk you through an infinity of slides. We will do it live in the sense that we will connect to the portal live and navigate through it at the same time as we are talking. So before we go into the detail of the agenda, I want to mention a few practical questions and a few practical details. First, it may be good to know that this webinar is recorded. We do that because we want to use it at a later stage. We will publish it and reuse it. It's also good for knowledge building. Also, you probably noticed that your microphone and cameras are shut down, and this is the regular procedure. So don't try to turn it on because it won't work. But we don't convey you all here because we don't want to hear you. Of course, you can interact with us, but for that, you have two options. You can use, if you look in the options of your registration webinar, you have a chat room and a question room, and you can both use it, and you can just write down your questions. And when we are done with the presentation, we will review all the questions and try to answer them the best we can. So for the time being, just sit down and relax. We want to make a few first introductory statements. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is the agenda. Well, we are now in the welcome phase. I still have 1 minute. I also want to talk you through the agenda. So the first block, we will explain to you what is the portal, what's the philosophy behind it, how you should log in, how you should navigate, how to find it, how to get your marks around it. Once you know how to do that, you probably also want to see the use. So why should you as a company, why should you as a representative of any sort be using the portal? What's in it for you? Well, we will also show you the real added value of this tool. It is completely free. There will be no trick. You can continue to use it as much as you want. You can connect with people from across Europe. You can connect with organizations, other initiatives, anything. You can promote your own products, ask questions. We'll see all that. And at the last part, we will, as I mentioned, review your questions. And at the end, if depending on how many questions we have, we also have an input taking session where you can suggest services that you don't see. You can suggest how we can even make it better and more useful for you. And then hopefully we take it on board and implement these changes that you suggest. Can we go to the next slide, please? So why? I also here on behalf of IOF 2020, we made this webinar also because we want the use case of IOF 2020 to join the portal and take most advantage of it. But this webinar is open to anyone in the agri-tech sector, anyone interested. So don't mind, I take the IOF 2020 example, but it addresses literally everyone interested. So this is maybe a first point I want to stress. The importance of ecosystem. What's the ecosystem? It is all the entities gravitating around your business, around your activity. For instance, you all need some time to refer to an institution. You also may have some research and innovation. You also have a need for customers, in farmers, anything. So this is the IOF ecosystem. If you look at it, you probably recognize some of the logos. We are dealing with institutions like EIT Food, EIP Agri. We are dealing with interest organization. We are dealing with other EU initiatives, farmers. This all the ecosystem. It's external to the members, but we frequently interact with these institutions. So all of this creates superior added value, superior to only what the members of the project could do. And we, well, IOF, as you may know, is probably the best project in the world, but we are lucky enough to be connected with Smart Agri-Hubs. Smart Agri-Hubs is, well, it hurts a bit to say that, but it might be the future of IOF 2020. And we are lucky enough to be closely connected to them. And so they designed this portal. And we strongly believe that it could be a very strong help to help the ecosystem of IOF 2020, as you see there on your screen, live longer. But it's not only reserved to the IOF ecosystem. You as an attendee today, you can also belong to this, and you can also take the same advantages and IOF use cases. Can we go to the next slide, please? So the idea behind it is that you see those two projects, IOF 2020, which I'm representing today. It accounts for more than 140 members, 5 sectors, 33 use cases, 22 member states, plus the ecosystem I just mentioned. Everything is working well, everything is generating solutions, products, added values, and we don't want it to end in 2020. Unfortunately, administratively, it is the case. The project has an end, and it will end in December this year. Doesn't mean that the activity and all this interaction has to stop. Our idea is that we want to take everybody interested, all the solutions, all the products that we developed for the 4 years, and place them in a relevant way in the innovation portal. As a IOF project management staff, we can't do that. It is your action. Here I'm talking to the IOF use cases, but once again, it's not reserved to IOF use cases. Anybody can do that. If you have a product, a service, something to offer, or just questions, or just the will to interact with people, you can just log in, create your profile, and do the same thing. Smart Agri-Hubs is even bigger in terms of membership, 160 members and more, 7 sectors, because they also have aquaculture and, well, I'm not sure, but we'll go through that. 28 FIEs, all the member states, and it started last year, so it will continue and outlive IOF. So I guess it's a bit clearer now what sort of advantage you could take out of the innovation portal. I am going to stop talking now and give the floor to my colleagues, which will elegantly walk you through all the maze of the innovation portal so that it becomes clear as water. And I will come back at the end of this webinar and try to make take-home messages, synthesis of all the topics that we have been discussing. So I wish you all a very good webinar and instructive session, and talk to you in 1 hour or so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Francois. So hello, everyone. I'm Lorena. Don't know if you know me, but I work for Schudelar and Partners, and also leading Work Package 1 in Smart Agri-Hubs, which deals with communication and ecosystem building. And today, our session is meant to shed some light on the innovation portal and how to use it, why it would be useful for you to access such a platform, but also to give you an idea of what we are trying to do. The innovation portal is not set in stone, so it's a very active platform, and we are always and constantly looking for feedback from users. But I'm not going to do this alone. I have a very dear colleague of mine who I like to call and introduce all the time as the genius mind behind the innovation portal. So he is the one that will actually implement all changes and requests, and everything that we developed in the portal is thanks to him. And then we have, I would say, one of our best users in the portal, and I can call her like that. It's not only that she uses the innovation portal very well, but she's also explaining and sharing that knowledge to the others on how to use the portal. So Yarisa, welcome, and thank you for willing to showcase your experience and to actually just raise your concerns and ideas and give us feedback from the user perspective. So we are going to start with a short presentation. I mean, just a few slides. I'm not going to bore you a lot. We're going to actually present the portal. So, but just for you to have this background information. So the innovation portal is a very interactive system. It means that it can only grow with the users and the organization's participation. The idea behind the portal is to facilitate the exchange of results, learning, and best practices. Of course, it's linked to the main objective of Smart AgriHouse to connect the dots, but not only. Actually, Smart AgriHouse is connecting all the projects and all the organizations in the agri-food sector. Now, of course, you can find plenty of information, but we also want to facilitate the portal to give access to tools like catalogs of course, our stakeholders, digital innovation hubs, competence centers, innovation experiments, but also use cases. And the portal should be the source of key communication points and information like open calls, funding opportunities, best practices, and things that are related to help SMEs, organizations to set up new projects and initiatives in the agri-food sector. We want to connect all these dots, so we don't want to work alone. We want to connect as many projects as possible. We really want to align these kind of websites and information and platforms that are currently happening in the agri-food sector. I think it's very important to know that the innovation portal was launched in mid-September last year. So we don't even have a year, but it started to work very well, and I'm going to show you some statistics. And also one of the most important feature of the portal is that it will allow to do a partner search and a matchmaking within, of course, the agri-food sector and all the other projects related to this sector. So a few basic things on the innovation portal on the users. So as I said, we were launched last year, and since then we have 493 single organizations in the portal, more than 1,200 users. And then in these tiny squares, you can see the composition of our users, so the type of stakeholders. Of course, Smart AgriHouse is the European network of digital innovation hubs, so it makes sense that we have more than 200 digital innovation hubs present in the portal, competence centers, farmer associations, startups, and SMEs. And also we started to have some IOF 2020 use cases. We also try to attract and have different type of stakeholders like financial services, media, European Commission, public institutions, local and regional government. But this takes time, and I think some of them are there representative, but they are not as a huge number as all the others that I've just explained. The use of the portal in a nutshell. So just to give you an idea what we're dealing with, this month, for example, we had 6,900 visitors. I think that's also related to the fact that we just opened an open call, but still we have quite a flux of users and visitors in the website and the portal. You will see now when I present the portal what exactly looks like, but our network page was the most viewed one. We have a 60% direct traffic. 11% of our users are coming from non-EU members, and then we also have a forum that actually if you open the topic there, you will see that someone is going to answer or is going to interact with you as a user. And as I was saying, I'm not a fan of PowerPoint so much, but actually going to the real stuff. And today we are going to present you how the portal works. So if you are not familiar with the page, this is the page of Smart AgriHubs. Here, of course, you click on the portal and you will have to be registered to enter the portal. And now, maybe before we start, I just want to launch a short poll on how, actually, because we have 61 attendees, so maybe it's good to see who is actually registered in the innovation portal currently. So you will have this question that will appear on your screens. So are you registered in the portal or not? Just to see how is the audience doing. Okay. So 60% of you have voted. I'll just give you maybe a couple of seconds. Okay. Okay, I will just close the poll very soon. Okay, and then I will share the results with you. And we are starting to receive some questions as well, which is good. Okay, so 60% said, 63% said yes, 38% no. So this session will be, of course, for those that are registered already to get familiar with certain features, and for those that are not yet in the innovation portal, to give them the opportunity to find out more about what this platform can offer them, and hopefully we will then have them as users. So I will just quickly go on what is the innovation portal. So if you click here on the Smart AgriHubs website, you go to the portal, and then you will see this page. This is the welcome page. And basically, here you can find out what has happened in the innovation portal since the last time you were there. So if you don't want to go through all the sections and you want to just quickly grasp what the information is, you just see here what you've missed since last time. I'm not going in so much into detail in the innovation portal because Mark will explain the different features. But just quickly present the sections. We have now a new section on the open call where, of course, you can find all the information that has been published on our open call. Then you have the network, and if you remember my slide from before, this is one of the pages that's most visited because it is also the most interactive one. We have our sectors, and as Francois was saying, we have 7 because we have aquaculture, but also novel food, and livestock for us is actually animal production and dairy. And then we work with regional clusters. So we have this approach that everything is divided in clusters in Europe. So a group of countries form one cluster. Then, as you remember the user slide, you have this type of organization. So you can actually select very quickly and see what type of stakeholders are in the innovation portal. Then we have a page of the library, which will suffer some layout design in the future. But here, basically, you can find the type of information that our partners in Smart AgriHouse would like to share with other stakeholders. And training, this is, as you remember, the portal is very interactive. So meaning if you have a training that you would like to share, or some webinar or event that is online, or a series of courses, here you can actually, first of all, see that information. You can also select and try to find a specific training in one of your sectors, or maybe you want something on location and so on, and you can also filter it by regional cluster. The most important thing is that you can add a training. So you as an organization, or you as a I don't know, company would like to inform or communicate about something that you're doing, you can just here fill this in, and then you can quickly submit a training. I mean, this is not automatically approved, but we have a team of people working every day on the innovation portal, so it will just be a matter of a few hours until your event or training is published. And then here, of course, events, but with the current situation, we don't have so many events happening right now. Everything is online, but this is the section where you would like to promote your event. And then here we have another very interactive section or part where we connect with our partners and stakeholders. And here you can see the forum that is being divided in several topics, and you can add a topic, but here you can just post your question, information, and you can chat and exchange opinions with the other stakeholders. I think this was a bit in a nutshell, and I'm going to give the floor now to Mark. If you are okay, Mark, to present what could be the special features for an SME, for a use case, what can they actually see in the portal and how they can use it properly for their own interest and benefit.
Yep, thank you, Lorena. I'll go in a bit deeper on the pages that you showed. Let me share my screen. This is the IOF webpage, of course, which I will come back to a bit later on. Like Lorena already explained, when you enter the portal, you will get to the latest page, and on the latest page is all the recent activity. The activity is gathered from all the different pages. So with the orange labels, you see the forum posts. We get the post from the forum itself and display it here. You can click on it and then go to it. Now you can see that because they gather all the topics, it will sometimes also be just a small thank you message. But yeah, it's good to see that there is this activity in the forum and what happened. You can also see the new organizations who recently joined. And as an organization, you can here see that you can upload your logo and have a small description about what you're doing. But I will show later in more detail what information you can provide as an organization, and actually also what an organization really is. But also things that are new in the library will show up. And yeah, there has been a lot of forum activity lately, so that's a lot what we can see. And also the sorry, the new events that are added to the portal. Then on the most used page, We can see all the, it's a network page, and you can see all the organizations that are present in the portal. I will explain a bit more on the icons that you can see. When there is this number, it means that when you zoom in, there are more organizations on that level. Sometimes you see the Smart AgriHubs logo. This means that this organization is a part of Smart AgriHubs already. And sometimes you can see here this logo of a drone. This is an FIE, which is somewhat comparable to the use cases in IOF. FIE is a flagship innovation experiment, and they show what they're doing in Smart AgriHubs. Let me check here. This icon, and I hope you all can see it right. This is a digital innovation hub, and I think we should have two more. And let me use the filter for that, because when I filter now for a competence center, then we will see only competence centers. And this is the icon for a competence center. You also see that there still is also are some digital innovation hubs visible, and that's because an organization can be more than one type of an organization. And in this case, the digital innovation hub icon shows some more importance than the competence center. Like Lorena also mentioned, here it is, we have the filter on the regional clusters. So that's just to zoom in a bit more on the organizations. When there is just this green dot as an icon, this means that the organization has registered in the innovation portal, but is not a part of Smart AgriHubs yet, or yeah, maybe doesn't want to be, but they take part in the portal. So any organization can register and showcase itself. When I click on an organization, well, this one is not. Oh, sorry. The best example, let me check out one. This one. Then you get this bar where you see the logo, the name of the organization, which organization types it is, and the description. But you can also see how to contact an organization, what the contact organizations are. And there's also the read more, and then you get to the page for an organization with more information. We were here in the map view, and you already saw it a bit. There's also a list view available. And here this shows the list with the logos and the names and sort in alphabetical order. But when you make the selection, it also filters the organizations and show them here. One of the, and I think I forgot one of the most important icons, and that's also for the IOF use cases, that they are shown with the IOF logo on the map. And when I zoom in to one of the use cases, and there are a few more details that I want to explain. So here the use case 4.2 has been registering, and the use case is not really an organ, or might be not really an organization as such, that it's not a company or an SME as a registered whole, but it's a cooperation of different organizations, and that's what you can see in the members. So for instance here, you can see that the University of Almeria is the lead in this use case, and that's also when I go to the IOF website, which you can see here. This information, this is the same use case, and here you can see the partners. So there is the University of Almeria, CoExpo, and Valor Italia. So the other organizations here can also register in the Smart Agri-Apps portal and say that they are cooperating in this use case, and they will display here as members. I hope this is a bit clear for everyone, because it is, we already noticed that this is somewhat complex on how to do these registrations and to put it in the right way. So in the end, we will get back to some questions about this. One of the other great features here, I think, is that when you go back to the map, and I want to know, let me put it off the filter. So I want to do something with a robot, for instance, and I want to know what other organizations are doing something with robots or can provide me with some information. So here in the search bar, I just now type robot, and I can find all organizations that somehow put also the word robot in their profile. So when I click on this one, for instance, we will see that yeah, they do some work with robotics. And the main question, of course, would be how to add an organization. And like on all the other pages, what we have is the big green add button at the bottom of this bar, and then you get to a page where you can put in all the information that's needed. So you put in the logo, the organization name, and it will also show that there are already organizations in the portal having a similar name. So for instance, when I want to add Schuttelaar and Partners, and I type Schuttelaar, then it showcases that the organization Schuttelaar and Partners already exists. And if me as a user, if I want to connect to this organization, and a connection, it's not like LinkedIn that you befriend an organization, but it's really showing the people that work there or have an active role in an organization. So you can have an active role in a use case, but also in your own organization. And all the other information that you can provide here is well, it's a long name, and we ask everybody to put it in English, so anybody can somewhat understand it, and it will be the main language in the whole portal. Then we have a short name. We see that a lot of organizations with very long names already have some shorter names. You can put in a department to distinguish your organization. So, for instance, when there is a university with multiple departments who are active in different roles within Smart Agri-Hubs, you can create different organizations for them. I put in a short description here, and it's the text that you show that you saw on the network page. You can put in the whole address, your email where to contact the organization, provide a website, social links, and state if you are a Smart Agri-Hubs member, and select the sectors that you are active in. When you click save on this one, then it will show a list of organization types that you have, and then you can say, I have use case. In some cases, for instance, for digital innovation hubs or competence centers, they will then you will be provided with a list of some additional questions, and there is extra information that you can put in there, which might in a later stage be shown on the network page, or as information we as Smart Agri-Hubs organization need to verify some stuff on the claims you make, or we just want to know about your organization. Then we have the library. There already was one of the questions if we would share the slides of the presentation we had, and I think we will upload it here. And there will be somewhere in the past events or something. So there are already presentations here and links to other websites. So here on the left now you have some kind of folder structure, and when you click on one of the folders, the documents filter, and you can see what are present in that folder. There's also an information when you hover it, then you can see some more additional information showing up on what is happening, or what is why this link is here, and what you can find there. Yeah, like I already mentioned, you can also submit a document yourself. You can say in what folder it needs to be present. Select the document or enter a URL, add a title, description, and then just click upload. Like Lorraine also mentioned, it won't show up immediately, but within on the next working day, we will be able to check the link in the document and make sure that it's uploaded or shown. It's published. For trainings, it's somewhat the same. And if you provide a training, we have different types of training that you can put here. Like it can be an e-learning or an on-location or a webinar. And most of the time, an on-location or a webinar will have a date set to it. So I see tomorrow here there is this biochain conference. Well, I don't think conference might be the exact right thing for a training, and it should be in the calendar as an event, but I didn't look into the details. But when I click on it, we see that the project will present its main outcome, so it might be yeah, somewhat of a training to gather new insights and information. When you upload a new training or provide a new training, you can add 2 links. There's one with more information and also registration links. So people can immediately go to the registration page from the Smart AgriOps portal. And here also the filtering works. So if I want to see an on-location training, which is in the northwest of Europe, then that should work and show only the trainings that are of the certain type. There are also continuous courses, and they don't have a specific date, but they are some e-learning or a recorded webinar that you can check out every time you want. There's already the growing list. On the calendar, you can provide events that are happening. Nowadays, it will be a lot of online events, but maybe in the future, the events all over Europe will be more and more, and we will see this list growing again, because we noticed that somewhere in December and January, the list was a lot longer. Also here you can filter by date on the sectors and the regional clusters where the events are. And then the last thing in the portal here is the forum. And the forum, it is a somewhat separate system, but we made the integration working that yeah, it works pretty seamlessly. You use the same account, or you don't have to log in because it's a single sign-on. You are automatically logged into this forum when you are registered in the innovation portal. Yeah, now there is a lot of talk going on the open call. Recently, we also added some closed groups. So for every regional cluster, if you want to discuss something or post something that's only applicable for your own regional cluster, then you can post it there. As a user, you're automatically put in the regional cluster group of the organization that you are connected to. So you have to connect to a regional cluster. As a user, you have to connect to an organization to be part of a regional cluster. And organizations are put in the regional cluster automatically based on their location. When I go back once more to the network page and to the IOF use cases, the use case for the pig farm management, and also here we can see that Ilvo is a lead, and the main contact is Jerissa. So Jerissa, maybe you can also explain a bit more on what's your experience with using the portal and yeah, adding the organization and stuff.
Okay, thank you, Mark. So yeah, my name is Jerissa. I'm coordinating one of the use cases in IOF 2020. So the people from IOF 2020 will probably know me. I also had the privilege of working for Smart Agri-Apps for a couple of months last autumn and winter. So I actually witnessed the innovation portal its first days. And first of all, what I want to say, maybe also good to know for the audience, is that it's really made a very impressive growth. If you look at, I mean, we started with an empty map, and now we have almost 500 organizations in what, 10 months time. That's really huge. I think we can all appreciate that that's an impressive growth. So people that are not yet in it are missing out at the same time. Now, what to me, the innovation portal is very interesting because it's a networking tool. You can put yourself on the map, and not only yourself, but also your projects. Now, we all know that somewhere else in Europe or in the world, you also saw that there are organizations already from Australia or New Zealand and India joining, that there are people somewhere else interested in what you are doing. They may be wanting to do similar things, or they have some competences or some products that are compatible to yours. So therefore, it's important that we put ourselves on the map and that we check who else is out there. So for that, I think it's very interesting that besides putting our organizations on it, we can also put our projects. So for IOF 2020, our use cases on there. So that's what is happening here. It also allows for people from the sector, for advisors, for digital innovation hubs that are joining the portal to look for the things that they want, for solutions that they're looking for their clients, for their farmers. So that allows this search. Now, in the beginning, it might be for someone that is first at the innovation portal, it might be a bit looking for where can I find what, and how do I need to connect as a user to an organization, and then an organization to a use case, for example. So for that, I really recommend the help files. There are really some nice training videos, very easy to use, and it explains very well what you need to do. For example, if you make your use case and you want people, the partners of your use case, to be part of the member list, they need to ask a connection to your use case that you then can approve. That's also something I need to work on because my other partners are not yet in there, so they need to take that action. Now, maybe something else that I've, as a personal experience, what I've used the portal for is I've looked into several documents through the portal, like on the code of conduct, recent activities. I also saw some results from another project on a survey on antimicrobial resistance. So those are things that I otherwise would have to search very long for finding them. Or I would not have taken the time to do so, but here on the portal they are available. You can check on the forum what is happening, what topics are being discussed, and find some documentation on that as well. In the future, I think also some things that will be added will be very interesting for us to use. Those are the matchmaking tools and the more specific competences that will be able to be added for competence centers and also for digital innovation hubs. And also, I think the people from Schuttelaar can confirm that, is that now with the open call that has been posted, activities are probably very much increasing on the portal. So if we can keep that loop of also having funding opportunities on the portal, then I think it's really a good tool that combines a lot of different aspects that are very interesting for us as a community to use. So that's a bit my experience.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we will dive a little bit deeper on the next steps later on. Yeah, we also noticed that the open call triggered a lot of activity and new organizations joining, but also in the forum, and not only in the open call part of the forum, but also other parts. There is more activity and people set up some more discussions. So it's good to notice. Then we had, after showing this, we had a little poll for you prepared that if we are curious if you have any idea on how you want to use the innovation portal. Maybe you can, I hope you all can see the poll now.
Just to confirm that people are voting, and we get now 45% of the attendees have voted, so we will wait for another few seconds more.
Okay, we have just a new vote.
Voting, yes.
Yeah, and maybe in the meantime, just another remark. I see that someone raised his or her hand to ask a question. Could you please put the question in the question section? Then we will get back to you.
Yes, I can see that Ekaterina actually raised her hand. So Ekaterina, if you can write your question in the questions part, or if you want to write something in the chat. Okay, so I will close now the poll. 68% of our attendees voted, and you will be able to see the results.
And it's nice to see that the all of the above has the most votes, and that furthermore people want to gather, but also want to share the information there. And it's only a little 2% that don't want anything in the portal. I would be curious to see maybe in the chat or as a question, a remark, why you put in the none of the above, because then we might want to be able to improve the portal and make it of better use for anyone who put this there. And a small remark on the people who voted on the gather relevant information. I think it's also very important to share as an organization, because that really makes an active community, that you're not only getting information, but also putting information there. Lorena, can you put up the presentation with the next steps?
Sure, just 1 second. Okay. Okay. So whenever you want, Mark.
Yeah, I think you can show them all and should not, yeah. Okay. The next steps that are coming up, because the innovation portal, like Smart Agri Apps, it's a 4-year project, and we plan on improving it during the whole period. So it's not a final product that is delivered there. Yeah, I think in the upcoming, well, even weeks, I can say there will be some nice improvements, but also on the planning for later this year and early next year, we have some nice next steps. To start with, there's the technology classification. The competence centers, to start with, will be able to showcase their systems and competences. So what you are doing as an organization, provide the information about this. Yeah, also in that way enrich your profile. In the first stage, it will be only for gathering the information for the portal, and then we need to make a round of normalizing the data, as to say. So when somebody writes, I do something with robots, and somebody writes with robots, and another one writes with robotics, we will normalize this data after a first round, and then open up the technology classification to all organizations. And that information then later on will also be used in the matchmaking. So the search for organizations will improve a lot, because when you put somewhere that you are looking or you have issues with a certain topic, and then we can provide information about organizations that might be able to help you on this topic. And then there's also the Digital Innovation Hub Maturity Self-Assessment, yeah, which will also be launched within a few days, maybe even, where digital innovation hubs can run a, it already says, a self-assessment to check where they're standing, what their level is on the services they provide. We will also extend the profiles of organizations. So organization profiles, as you just saw now, only have a short description, but we will look into ways to enrich those, that you can put some kind of news updates there, or maybe that we can even get this information from your LinkedIn profile or something, and those are all things we are looking into. And also the search will be improved when all this information broadens a lot. Then you might get lost in all this data. So we're looking into improving the search and look that you can also get search results over all the different fields and not only on the page you are. And then we also prepared some sneak previews on the technology classification. And this is one of the parts that where you can see. I'm not going to explain in detail now, but just to give you an overview of what it will look like. And on the results page of the maturity self-assessment, we will present you with some spider charts. So yeah, just to give you an idea of what will be happening. And this results page will be much more than just this. I think it's good to have a look at the questions that were put up already.
Yes, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Arisa. I think it's very difficult to grasp at once all the features that the Innovation Portal presents. I think it's very useful to go step by step and according to your needs. But as I mentioned at the beginning, for us, it's very important to get the users' feedback. And we built this Innovation Portal in consultation, first of all, with the Smart Agri Hub stakeholders and partners in our first conference. Then throughout the year, we organized several focus groups in different countries with the different type of stakeholders to see how to better improve the Innovation Portal. And this webinar actually falls into the same line. We are not here only to preach about the Innovation Portal. This is not a set in stone platform, but we're looking it to adapt it to the user's needs. So this is your moment. You've seen us talking and you've listened to us for what, an hour now. So now it's your time to contribute and to see how we can help developing the portal further. So I'm going to open the question section, because I've seen some of the questions that have been answered throughout the webinar, and then some questions that will that popped out, and some questions that they have already been answered by my colleagues, either Francois or Mark. But I will take a question from Guillaume. He's asking what will happen to the portal and its data once project is finished. So I can answer that. In Smart Agri House, we already started working on a sustainable ecosystem. And for us, a sustainable ecosystem is not only the partnership and the consortium, but our main feature, which is the Innovation Portal. So I don't have an answer yet. How will this outlive the project? We, as Smart Agri House, we are working until 2022. And I can tell you that the process of finding a solution to maintain the portal on its own has already started. So in the future, we will be able to come with concrete proposals how this growing community can self-sustain this Innovation Portal. And as Yarisa was mentioning, I'm quite impressed. I've seen many European projects. I've worked in many European projects, but I'm really impressed with the growth of the portal in only a few months. So I think the fact that we can improve features and that we can adapt it to the users' needs will definitely increase the chances of the portal to be self-sustaining afterwards. I hope, Guillaume, that was a good answer to you. Otherwise, just use the questions or the chat to give us more feedback. And then I will go to Mario, who is asking what is the procedure to add a use case in the portal. So maybe, Mark, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you
yeah,
want to share your screen. I don't know if it's easier.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to make it a bit more visible. So when you are registered as a user in the Innovation Portal and you go to the network page, then here at the bottom you can add the organization, and the organization in this case will be the use case. So you can put in the name of the use case and add the description of what you're doing, and then after you have submitted here, like I already explained, then you will get a list and a select box of the organization types that we have. So on the network page, you see all the organization types here. So you get a list of all those organization types, and there you can select IOF use case, and your organization then will be visible as an IOF use case. I hope this clarifies or answers the question.
And also, if you would like to see a good practice, maybe check Yarisa's use case on the Innovation Portal. I think that's one example of how it should be done. So the use case is an organization as such, and then at members you should have the lead organization, the coordinator, and members parts organization that are part of that use case. So if you want to see a good example of how to do it, check out that profile.
Yeah.
Mark, then yes.
And I can maybe even immediately follow up on the question of Femke. She asked, is there a network overview of the connection between the organizations, for example, projects and publications they work on together? So when looking at this use case, you can see that here there is the members section, and in this members section you will see, in this case only ILVO registered, but there will be organization like where you do cooperate with other organizations, where you can not only see the lead and the co-lead, but also other members. And when I now click on ILVO, they will not show the partner section, but the partner in section. And here on ILVO, you can see where they play an active role. So they are, and I'm not 100% sure that everything is correct here, because I see there are lead and the co-lead in the ammonia emission monitoring network. And they are work package 3 co-lead and work package 6 member, the co-lead in the regional cluster, and lead in those 2 use cases. So I hope this clarifies a bit, or answers a bit your question on how to see how organizations cooperate.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I have another question from you, and it's from Annika. She's saying if you can please explain what you mean that the forum is a separate system integrated to the website. Do you then use a different platform?
Yeah, the forum is a different platform, but it's all maintained by ourselves. As Schuttelaar, so it's not a third party really cooperating in this.
And
so
I can also
add a separate system, but there are means to integrate it, and that's why also on the latest page you can see the forum posts.
Yes, and also to add to what Mark was saying, if you go to the open call page, you can actually see that if you want to gather all the information in one place and you don't have to switch to the forum to see where it is, you know, that people are asking questions, you can actually see on the right side all the questions that have been posted in the forum related to the open call, so that when you go to that page, you have everything together. So it's really to ease the time you spend on clicking on different sections and trying to look for yourself for all the information that you have. Okay, then I go to a different question, and this is from Sarka, and she's asking if it's possible to edit existing organization on Innovation Portal, add more info updates. Yes, Sarka, and we actually encourage you to do that. I have to say that the main contact of that organization is the one to change and improve the organization profile. So please do update that profile with a logo, with a short paragraph in English describing what that organization is doing. Make sure that you encourage your members to connect to your organization as a member. And in the future, we will also have the delete button, because there were many changes that people couldn't do. So I think the delete button is really something that users should have there, because sometimes just by mistake you might add some information that is not accurate. In the meantime, we always solve those issues as administrators, but I think it would be very useful to have this delete button in the future. And as what Mark was saying before, you saw in some of the profiles that an organization can be different type of stakeholders, so a digital innovation hub or a competence center or so on. So you can always add that information. As well, you can also add more main contacts to your organization. So that is also possible. Mark, do you want to add something here or? No? Okay. Then I go to the other question, and this is from Alexander. In how far is the innovation portal integrating existing tools like Eventbrite, FCX, new platform, any automatic information gathering? I think, Mark, that's for you.
Yeah, at the moment, that's not really happening. During the development, we have been looking into some platforms to connect to, like the DIH.
DIHnet?
DIHnet, yes. And some other tools, but there were also some limitations or issues in connecting and really getting the data straight on what was happening. Yeah, on the other hand, when you put up an event, you can provide the registration link. So it's not really an integration or anything automatic. But we see there's a lot of diversity on what people use, and so it's hard to make a selection and have one thing working properly. But we're always open for suggestions and looking in improvements and to limit the fact that organizations have to put in the same information in 3 or 4 places, which we are completely aware of that it might be happening, but yeah, like I said, it is really hard to come up with one solution that's working for everyone.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Alexander, if you have any suggestions, please use the chat or the questions. Now, actually, another question from Alexander is, how does Smart AgriHouse make sure that the quality of the partners can be discovered is interesting and relevant? And here I can answer that. Smart AgriHubs is an open ecosystem, and so is the innovation portal. You have to create an account to register for free, of course, but we are not checking. Of course, you can't. Now we have 490 something organizations. You can't check all of those organizations separately, but that's why the community is working, and that's why we have the members option. So it really relies on everyone's responsibility to update their profile and to be in the portal with something that they really want to offer or exchange or participate in. Of course, there are, and Mark here can maybe explain more, but of course there are several checks, on posting on the innovation portal. There are certain restrictions, and also these are related to the profiles, but we are not doing a quality check of the content of every organization. We do have an extended team that works in the innovation portal, and we regularly check if there's a logo, a main contact, and information is in English. But the check is quite limited to specific features that an organization profile can have.
Yeah, and also looking at the DIHs and competence centers, we also have the work packages who are working on those fields. They regularly do checks and also get notified when a DIH registers or an organization registers as a DIH or a competence center. So they know there is a new DIH and they can verify if this really is the case and maintain the level to have a good information in the portal.
Yeah, and this goes also to the question that Fenke raised, how we make sure that these members and organizations are actually working on Smart AgriHubs. So it's the same as Mark was saying, if you're a digital innovation hub or a competence center, the respective work packages keep track of those lists, and they get in touch with you and they do the quality check of these organizations. Then I have a question from Marton. How can we get in touch with investors using the portal? Well, I think this can be developed in the future with the matchmaking tool, but also this is related to the increase of the ecosystem. So as I shown before, the list of type of stakeholders that we want to reach, we're continuously and we are in touch regularly with different type of stakeholders, and we encourage them to be in the innovation portal. So it will not happen from a day to the other, but as the ecosystem grows, this type of investors or companies will also be present in the innovation portal. Then I have another question. I
had 2 or 3.
Okay, then maybe you can read some of them. Yes.
Yeah. There was the question from Claes Sabine, or can an organization register independent of a project, so as an individual company? And I think that also relates to the question of Anna Bugero, who asks, I am coordinating a use case, but should I also register as a startup too? So yes, organizations can register independent of any project, and it's also a separate registration of an organization. So you can click the Add Organization button and update or add this organization. And a bit related to this is the question of Sarka Horakova. It would be great if more people from one organization will be able to edit information. My colleague who created our network is permanently busy, but I'm not able to do updates instead of him. There are two types of user connections to an organization. And as a user, you can be a main user, and then you can do updates, or you can be a normal user, as to say. And then you can only see this information. So you should then ask your colleague if it's okay that you are the main contact, and if this really is a problem, because that's only 2 clicks for him. But if this really is a problem, you might send an email to communications at smartagrihubs.eu, and we can help you out, making sure that you can edit information.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And I think we have one more question from, I think it's Fenke that we didn't read. So does the portal connect link projects or studies automatically, or does this only work through preset categories by human entry? I think she is referring mainly to, I suppose, the network page and the library. So to answer this, you will have to create the links yourself. For the moment, there's no automatic link between projects or studies connected to organizations. What you can actually see if in the future is when an organization in their profile, and this is what Mark was saying about extended profile. So for example, let's take the case of Ilvo. They have developed a study and they have uploaded that in the portal, or they have done a training or a webinar on a specific topic. When you click on that organization, you can actually see the activity they have been doing in the innovation portal. So in that sense, you can connect studies or interaction of a certain organization to a topic or to a project or connections. Okay, and then I think Evert is asking if we can share the page of the open call. I would suggest ever that you go on the website and click on the open call page. There's also one, if you're not registered in the portal, there's also one in the news. So there you get a limited version of the open call information. And if you want to access the documents and the forum and the discussion there, you will have to enter the open call page in the innovation portal. And then we have some ideas from Viorel. We will take that into account, some ideas for next developments. And I think that was it, unless someone else has a very last minute question. Well, if you do have and you change your mind, please pose your question or raise some issues in the chat, and then I will maybe give the floor to Francois for the wrap up.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Yarisa, for this very thorough and complete presentation. We are right on time because I see 12:25, and it's just about the time we had thought of for the conclusion. So congratulations for maintaining the agenda properly. I see many things as a conclusion, but as for a start, maybe I would like to thank our participants for their very nice interaction and inputs. I think the number of questions and also the preciseness of each question shows that our participants take it very seriously, and it shows that this tool is generating interest. But it's like when you install a new software, well, you know it's going to be useful, but you need a bit of time to get acquainted with it and make the most out of it. So we are working hard to make this innovation portal as user-friendly as it can get. We take on board your remarks, and we want to see it providing you with the most added value that we can. So it doesn't mean that you cannot provide inputs once the seminar is over. You can always ask questions. You can always reach us with suggestions for improvement, of course. So as a conclusion, I have still 3 minutes. I have noted down a few things. So we have seen that this tool can really help you boost your network. I guess you all remember this networking map of Europe. Your organization could be listed in this map, and it's actually a very, very practical and user-friendly tool to be reached and to reach. So I have noted down that in organization types, you can click on it and you don't, I mean, any organization you can always find on the web using Google, all right. But here it goes even a step further, because when you try to connect to an organization and you click on it, you don't only get the email address of the company, you actually get to reach a person which is working on the topic you're interested in, and you have his contact detail directly. So it actually goes a step further than just a basic internet search. You are in touch already with the relevant person. You can also sort out by activity and use keywords, just as the Google tool. So it's also quite user-oriented, and it's quite straightforward way to reach your interested stakeholders. Probably in the future we can write investors, and then the investor list will also pop up on that, as we discussed previously in the question session. So that is for the networking boost. For the library, to me it is as let's say a knowledge base. You can always refer to that for publications, for articles, for also reports that are placed there. I remember I used it once to promote and to refer back to an event I organized for IOF. So this is always there. You can always store document there. And for yourself, for your own promotion and your own visibility, apart from the networking map that we have here, we also have the possibility to offer training and promote events. You also see the events which are there. You can attend them. And what's best for your visibility than promoting your own events, promoting your own trainings to an already growing up community. So the calendar and the training phases are for your visibility and networking as well. So you see all these aspects that we touch upon, they are here to help you make the most of your activity, to help you being as visible as you can be, and to help you gain time and be more efficient when you want to reach an interesting stakeholder, or you want to organize your own events or attend your own events. I really hope that this webinar was useful to you. Honestly, I think it was the case, because I see that the audience has not moved. We were very steady. We didn't lose your interest. So I think it's a very good sign that we are as crowded as we were in the beginning of this webinar. My time is over. I would like once again to thank you very much for your interest. Thank you for your participation and your interactions. I would like also to thank the Smart AgriHubs crew and Yarissa with a double hat of Smart AgriHubs and IOF for participation. I hope that you gained something today and you will continue using the portal, or even consider joining the portal for boosting your activity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Say goodbye now. Goodbye to everyone.